All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another impromptu stream of reactionary opinions, the most based and reactionary show on the African continent. Yeah, tonight we're going to be talking about, we're going to be getting slightly conspiratorial, but we're going to be talking about theoretical conspiracies. Not quite, but we're going to be talking about how we go about winning, because let's face it, the world today looks quite dire, and things don't look too bright.
No, look, I'm just tired. Look, like I say, I think there was a period about 2 years ago where I was like fearful of the future, right? And as time has gone by, I've become less, and the news has actually gotten worse. But the fear that I've had has just become less and less and less, and I'm not really concerned with. It's the fear is baseless, and I think what you got to do is you got to think about. Look, everybody has different levels and that sort of thing, but really, I think you've got to. What we want to actually talk about winning is that how you think, and how can we put it? If you already know that you're on the winning team, you have no worries to worry about.
Yeah.
So for me, because of what I believe, and that it's been sustained through the ages, all this fancy homo homo nonsense that's out there can't survive what I hold to has lasted forever. Therefore, I'm on the winning team already, even if it appears that it's lost.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we get into the source of the conversation, Russell did a really cool stream on Conscious Caracal's channel on Tuesday, I believe it was. It was where he was talking about Rhodesia and all of that, dropped some based bombs over there. And this also, we were talking about this earlier on about how Rhodesia is, or the symbolism behind Rhodesia is something that is admired the world over, and I think it's the idea of self-determination that appeals to most people, and the idea that a tiny country, if left to its own, can do really well. Obviously, the globalists weren't having it, and the US and the UK had already decided, long before UDI and everything, that Rhodesia cannot exist, that it needs to go to Mugabe, and that these things had already been decided. But what appeals to most people, and why the topic of Rhodesia is so popular, is because I think that the general person, the average person on the street, the guy who is watching our stream tonight, the guy that believes in self-determination, is far more prevalent than the person that doesn't believe in self-determination. And I believe that is...
And the person who doesn't can be convinced to be very easily to believe in self-determination.
Yeah, and we've seen that all over the place.
Self-determination is actually an easy sell.
Yeah, it is. It is quite an easy sell. But the thing is, Russell, so
provided people, you can just tell people, listen, stop being so blimmin' afraid.
Yeah, fear is a big thing.
Jeez, like it. I'm so sick of what over the last 6 or 7 months with all this pandemic nonsense. The levels of fear is quite ridiculous. I mean, sometimes people will go and assault shop assistants and literally assault them for not enforcing mask wearing amongst the other shoppers. And I had a guy, this youngster at the gym. Look, all the Virgin Active staff at the gym were wearing masks and that sort of thing. But obviously, people are taking their masks on and off at the gym, all right? And one guy actually almost like trying to bully this youngster, like intimidated. So I was watching this guy. I said, "Oh, look, I thought that it was going to get out of hand." You know what I mean? And so, fortunately, it didn't. But I just thought to myself, don't be such a. I just can't. I can't believe people are willing to sacrifice relationships and human interaction for a virus with a 99.8% survival rate. It defies belief.
Yeah.
If you look at it objectively, I'm trying to think to myself, this is how people can be made so afraid. If this is what, it's just so absolutely.
Well, Russell, the globalists understand and they know that there's two things that control people more than anything, and that is sex and fear. Those two things are able to dominate people's psyches like you won't believe.
Yeah, well, I think fear primarily. People.
Yeah.
But
sex is the pathway to degeneracy.
Yeah, that's the other one.
So when I say sex, I mean it ties in with things like sex before marriage, abortion, all of these sort of things. Those are pivotal parts, and the globalists know and understand that these are things that control people, and this is what it's all about. Really, it's all about the controlling. For those of you that are listening, if you can just comment in the comments section, let us know how the sound is coming through. Sometimes we have issues with the sound, so just let us know if you guys can hear us clear and all of that, those of you that are watching. But yeah, so let's sort of jump into where this is coming, what we're looking at now. What are our challenges? So our challenges, I think personally, are initially the agendas. So Agenda 2021 and Agenda 2030.
Sustainability.
The idea of sustainable development. Those are things that. How's it, Daniel? Thanks, bro. You're fine. Great. Good to have you here again. But sustainable development is pretty much what we're looking at. I saw a really good video by Forever Computing. He's an interesting guy, Irish guy. The interesting thing about Forever Computing is he didn't start his channel as a political or a
you were saying
philosophy channel, and he was quite an avid atheist as well in the beginning. And recently, I think probably about a year or two now, he's recently accepted Christianity, or accepted Christ. So he's a Christian now. And ever since that, his videos have become so incredibly based and awake to the globalist agenda. And he made a video recently about on a similar sort of topic as what we're talking about tonight, about how we go about winning. And he kind of laid out the plans of the globalists, and their plans involve pretty much the annihilation of us. So when I say us, I mean freedom, free people, self-determination.
Annihilation of us would mean it's just the ordinary man in the street and his freedoms.
Yeah, the ordinary man in the street, that is their. They hate the ordinary man in the street because they can't understand. They really don't understand how me and you think as ordinary people. So what they try to do is they try to understand people from the outside. And when I say people, I mean 99% of the world's population. Because what the globalists are selling, this idea of state control, nanny statism, surveillance, censorship, all of these ideas, the general populace, if they actually think about it and actually understand it, the general populace doesn't want that stuff.
No.
They don't want it. If you explain it to them and explain to them what the globalists are on about, the average person on the street is not interested in that stuff. All the average person in the street wants is to live his life, raise his family the way he wants to. Simple as that.
And look, I mean, obviously there's stuff that goes in with that, I mean, those are the primaries. Then the extras are things like, being able to get a job, being able to
security,
being able to not have too much crime, not being able to send his kid to a school, then it starts getting to those sort of levels, But at the basis of it is that you can form your own government at home type of thing, and then
exactly, because let's face it. I mean, government should be an extension of the family, or the family unit should carry through into society. And we've spoken about this a million times. Okay, the family comes first. Okay, libertarians will say that the individual comes first, which is patently false.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, the thing is, remember, I had the debate with not a debate, but a
Facebook spat
with somebody where I said, where he said no, right-wing socialism. When I explained what right-wing socialism is, I said it doesn't mean that the state controls everything under right-wing socialism. All it means is that the interests are subordinated to the greater community.
Yeah, exactly. To the will of the people.
Yeah.
So the government is an extension of the will of the people.
If you can have that, yes, that's okay.
Yeah.
Whereas the problem with leftist socialism and that sort of thing is that it's usually not governed by the people.
No, exactly. It's governed by the globalists.
It might have elections. It might have elections and democratic elections, but the government doesn't necessarily basically does its own thing after being elected to power. So.
But again, like I said earlier when we were chatting and stuff, I said, democracy is pretty much a farce or a facade for the globalist agenda.
Oh yeah, it's
a false flag. It's basically something that gives you.
They're not interested. As long as you tick a couple of boxes, you have an election, elect somebody, have a little bit of a liberal constitutional legal framework in parliament, then everything's cool.
Yeah, then
you don't have to do anything for your people after that.
No. You
don't have to run your country properly. You can run it into the ground. You can do what you want, as long as.
But what you also have to do as a government of that sort of framework is you also have to be part of the international community.
Correct. You see,
if you're not part of the international community, then sorry, Rhodesia is going to happen to you.
Yeah.
This is the whole point: is if you're not joined at the hip with the globalists, they will do everything they can in their power to eradicate you.
Rhodesia proved an interesting case study in resisting globalists, because, look, obviously Rhodesia had pressures on them from various angles, but there was never food shortages, there was never hyperinflation of their currency. Life went on, services were delivered, the state functioned, all that sort of thing. It wasn't a fail. The pressures, the globalist pressures, never turned them into a failed state.
Yeah, exactly. It was definitely never a failed state.
It never turned them into a failed state. Obviously, they were under pressure. Make no mistakes about it. But a lot of people, also, what's happened is, people don't believe that a country to be wealthy, all right. Because you speak to all these libtards and these lolbirds and that sort of thing, they all think that things must be internationalized.
Yeah.
No tariffs.
Absolutely ridiculous.
No tariffs, just markets and that's international. No, you actually don't need that.
So how do you explain if that's true?
You don't.
Then how do you explain small towns operating and functioning on their own?
Exactly.
How do you explain that?
No, well, I mean, the thing is,
because those small towns basically control their internal economy.
Yeah. And you see, the thing is, you take a country like Rhodesia, for instance, all they needed to do was get enough export out there so they could import what they didn't have. The rest of the wealth they create internally through innovation.
Of course. And also they could use those imports as well to create wealth internally.
And you generate your own base internally. And that is one system which the globalists
Absolutely
hate.
hate. It cannot exist.
You cannot, that if you start becoming if you say, okay, well, I'm out of here.
Sorry, they're coming for you.
I don't think, I think maybe if you're a country like Liechtenstein, they might leave you alone. I don't know.
But why? I mean, I don't know. Maybe it's because Liechtenstein is a monarchy.
Maybe. Yeah. But you get what I'm saying. This idea that you need to have, I mean, and that's another thing. One of the things that being part of the international community is the movement of international finance capital.
Yes, check Daniel. That's a good comment over there. He says this is what Klaus Schwab said. Klaus Schwab, obviously the oak that started the World Economic Forum, right? Says Klaus Schwab says there will soon be 7 billion people on the planet. Can the planet take the strain? COVID-19 and further pandemics may be nature's much-needed coal. How convenient, eh? How convenient. Yes. Okay, so the answer is, can the planet handle 7 billion? It can handle 21 billion people. Okay? This is the reality of it. Within a self-governing world where each state and each country governs itself, it can handle billions.
This whole environmentalism thing, no one can actually prove all this stuff.
But this is the next step. So
basically, this COVID is a precursor to the
climate change.
To the climate, they're gonna shut us down for climate change in the next couple of years.
Yeah, then you're not going to be able to drive your car. You're not going to be able to go out. You're not going to be able to braai. You're not going to be able to eat certain foods. No meat. Everything. There was that Amazon advert where everything will be delivered to your house because they want to keep you locked down. The reason why they want to keep you locked down is because what we're doing now, conversing, is spiritually uplifting. Understand?
No, exactly. They want to kill you spiritually.
So they want to kill you spiritually so that you can't
find the energy to resist.
You can't find the energy to resist. You can't find the will.
Yeah.
The will. Now people construe will with like free will, and that's there's no such thing as free will. It's free agency. You have agency to make choices. That's what a lot of people assume is free will. That's not what will is. Your will is your spirit, your gumption, your fight. That's what will is. And that's what the globalists hate. They hate it when people have some sort of will in them. Your spirit, and they want to destroy your spirituality. But this is the thing, guys, is that Daniel says the green gevaar is the new red gevaar.
Yeah, they are blooming madness.
Yeah, Klaus Schwab. Is there a parody Twitter account? Is that what I guess that's what that quote was, what Klaus Schwab said. His parody Twitter account. It's so classic. That's classic. Klaus Schwab's stakeholder capitalism. Translation, communism.
Yeah, stakeholder capitalism. Yeah, the centralizing of capital.
Yeah, but that's basically the world model. That's the world model. Chinese communism
is basically that whole technocratic type of system. They love the Chinese model. They love it.
Classic. So Klaus Schwab's parody Twitter account was removed. Classic. What a legend. Whoever started that is a legend.
I've got an idea for a parody account, but I won't talk about it now.
Yeah, we'll drop that on Twitter sometime, one of these days. But yeah, I get so frustrated. This is the most frustrating thing is, you get two types of people on the right. Okay, you get the people that understand both sides of both of these types of people understand the threat that we're facing. So, we all understand that our biggest threat today is globalism and communism. Like, that is our biggest threat. But you get two types of people on the spectrum. You get the people that understand and the people that understand, and then you get the people that say it's all worthless. We might as well just give up, the nihilist side. And then you get the people that, like me and you, who are optimistic. Not pathological optimists, but people that understand that in the end, we win. Like, this is the whole thing, is that the globalists, the reason why the globalists are pushing so hard now is because they understand. I think deep down inside, they understand they can never win. They can never actually win. So they understand that how we go about potentially winning is destroying people's will and their spirits. And that's why those people on the side of the right that understand what the globalists are doing are, but sort of say, well, it's all worthless, we might as well just give up and stuff. You're just as bad as the leftists. You're just as bad as the communists. You're just as bad as the globalists, because you've given up. You understand? There's even if we're outnumbered 1 million to 1,
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You don't give up. This is the point. Have you seen his dress? He looks like a high priest Satanist. No, I haven't seen that. What's that?
He sounds like a blooming cackling warlock.
Is that Klaus Schwab's outfit? Klaus Schwab's dress. Let me check. Let me have a look here. Schwab dress. I don't see it. I don't see it, Daniel. I don't know what he's referring to.
Probably be some sort of cloak or something.
Probably some sort of like Freemason kind
Yeah.
of weird thing. But anyway, so don't get fooled by the oaks that are despondent and stuff. They're basically just as bad as the globalists.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, the problem is as well, you know, when you see these guys moving their lips, the scary thing about South Africa is that our blooming government just love the international community.
Yeah, and this brings me to this whole thing, okay? So here's the thing, guys. Stop talking about South African politics, okay? Because it's utterly pointless. Like, if you think for 1 second that the ANC and the EFF are actually real, you're totally delusional.
Well, real in the sense that they are localized. And
Yeah, that they just that everything they do is what they do.
correct. It's in other words, they're self-inspired.
Yeah, no,
They're not.
They're not real, guys. So please stop complaining about the ANC and stop complaining about the EFF. These oaks are all placed there specifically by the globalists.
And here's the bad news. If you vote out the ANC and EFF and you implement the DA is also international.
Yeah, guys, come on. It's just basically a wolf in a different kind of clothing.
So whichever way you'll get the sexualization of your kids. You'll get all the environmental nonsense. You'll get the all these sorts of things. It's like the DA. Go and look and see. Is the DA been against compulsory sex education?
Of course not.
They
man.
haven't. They're part of the international agenda.
Okay, so here's the thing: is Helen Zille is on the board of George Soros's Open Society in South Africa. So anyone who's a massive globalist, I don't care. I mean, I've met Helen Zille in person and stuff. She's a sweet old tunny and stuff, but she's still a massive globalist. I don't care for globalists. Anything they say, guess what? I don't listen to. If you're a globalist and you go on a channel and you talk about civil liberties and you talk about
they'll always
capitalism,
you'll get that. You'll get
freedom
that.
and all that.
It's like
it means nothing to me.
You'll get international socialists, which is the ANC, and international capitalists, so the DA, but they're primarily international.
Yeah, exactly.
First and foremost,
which is garbage.
It's like, even if you take World War II, it was international capitalism and finance, again, siding with international communism against the nationalist interests.
Well, exactly. But then again, like, you get oaks that supposedly are on the right that are punching like, nationalism is a stupid idea, and I'm like, I can't tell you how many times I've had arguments.
You can't be right wing without being nationalist.
Years ago, like 3 years ago, probably got into spats with people about where I said, nationalism is not really a bad thing, and they literally lost their crap. Like obviously all of them were libertarians,
and all basically university oaks and whatever.
Yeah, man.
I'm so tired of all these people that
experts
that hang around blooming academia, the chattering academic classes, and
think tanks,
and all this sort of nonsense.
But those experts all just piss off, guys. Like the reality of it is, this is the truth. This is the truth, guys. Daniel, Pa, everyone who's listening right now, you are the oaks that run this world. Not oaks that sit in university think tanks and sit around and wank about with their fedoras and their reading.
The guys that one of the big problems with this whole international finance system that we've got today, all right, is Labour's share of the economy is a fraction of what it was 50 years ago.
No, exactly.
And now all the wealth is sitting with finance.
Well, this is the fourth industrial revolution.
Correct.
Isn't it?
So in other words, basically, there's no workers' parties left anymore.
Yeah, because
there's no Labour and workers' parties.
Hi, just me dropping in over here to tell you guys again that the globalists want you workers dead. They don't want you there anymore. All of you working class type of people, they don't want you. You are you're not in the plan, guys. You're not in the agenda. So if you're a working class type of person, 10, 20 years time, you won't exist. The globalists want
you'll be existing on universal income grants.
Yeah, you will be basically reliant on the state and the globalists. So this is the point: is they don't want people here on their green planet, because it's their planet. They control it. So they don't want you here. They want communism. They want a controlled population. And when I say controlled, I mean cold population, a literal cold population. Because they actually see us as an obstacle. They see us as people that are using and abusing their resources,
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't exist, guys. That's it. Sorry. No space for you in the globalist plan.
Yeah, look, but at the end of the day, coming back to what we said originally, this stuff can't ultimately and finally, when we say we win, it doesn't mean that we win easy, right? But at the same time, we don't win by despairing. So what you got to do is leave the fear behind you. I don't know how you're going to do it. You got to find your own way of dealing with it, and find your own way of confronting it. But once you cross that bridge and burn it behind you, and there's only one way left, you'll feel a lot better about yourself and about the future.
So a prime example in real time of how the globalist agenda is not being accepted. So in Denmark, probably about a week ago, the government basically was going to implement a compulsory vaccine for the COVID. And there were massive protests, and subsequently the government reversed it. So this is the point, is the general populace is not buying this stuff. No. The general populace doesn't want to be injected with a RNA mutating vaccine that was thought up less than a year ago, kind of thing.
And
So it was, well, not
excuse
thought
me,
up less than a year ago, but there was,
excuse me, what
it
do
was
we,
created less than a year ago. I mean, what kind of nonsense is this?
I mean, why do we have to have a vaccine for something that's got a 99.8% survival?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, it's just, you know what also has a 99.9 or 99.8% survival rate, or a 1 or 2% death rate? Me getting in my car and driving down the road.
Yeah, exactly. Particularly in a country like South Africa.
But you see, the
I mean,
globalists would want to vaccinate you for that as well, because
Yeah,
they
well,
don't want you to drive.
Yeah.
Because you can't take responsibility
Yeah.
for yourself.
It's like in South Africa, murders and attempted murder a year are like 50,000.
Yeah, exactly. So Daniel says they are so out of touch. Yes, I do honestly think the globalists are out of touch. They do not understand us. They do not understand the human psyche. They don't. They're so far removed from natural law that the average person who is exposed to natural law on a daily basis will reject what they have to say.
Well, you see, the thing is, the globalists get all the money and they spend it first, and they don't sit. It's like with the ability to print money like they do.
Yeah.
The big wealthiest get the money first, so they're not affected by inflation.
Yeah.
Whereas we get the money, we get it last, and the prices go up already.
Yeah, exactly. So everything, all of this stuff doesn't apply to the globalists. All of our pain and suffering doesn't apply to them. So it's again,
they're complete sociopaths, these guys.
Yeah, absolute sociopaths. Yeah.
I mean, geez, like you got to just take a look at South Africa's senior leaders. I mean, that state president of ours is a complete narcissist.
See, here's the thing, guys.
Sociopath.
Now we've been doing streams and videos and stuff for over a year now. In fact, March next year will be 2 years.
Almost 2 years now.
Okay. We're a relatively, we're a very small channel. I think we have like 418 subscribers and stuff. But the point is that myself and Russell don't have these conversations for money. We don't have these conversations to be famous. We don't have these conversations to we do these conversations, or we hang out and we have these conversations because we see these things happening all around us, and we realize that we have to do something about it, and we have to speak up against this sort of thing. So, and I honestly do believe that, some of the YouTubers here in South Africa talking about, there's the EFF is causing kak in Brackenfell and cynical, and I don't care about that stuff. It's nothing to me. It means nothing. It means literally nothing to me. I don't care.
Just sorry, before I forget, a side note, with how things have unfolded since we last spoke to him, I think it's time to maybe get old Eustace on for an update.
Yeah. We need to get Eustace on again as well. Because here's the thing, guys, is all of this stuff, all of this political noise is really totally and utterly irrelevant. What we really need to do is we need to take the beast down at its throat. We need to slit the throat of the beast. Okay, there's no biblical 666 stuff in there, okay? Before any of you weirdos get strange ideas and stuff. It's nothing like that. But we need to defeat this thing at its source. Okay, it doesn't help that we win small little battles and South Africa, the DA won the 2024 elections, and yay, victory. It's not a win, guys. What we need to do is we need to get rid of the globalist agenda. We need to enforce and preach on the streets self-determination. That's the only thing that we are going to do that is going to beat this. Like short fixes and quick fixes and stuff are not gonna fix anything. So here's the thing, okay? So me and Russell, when all this nonsense started in the US with the the rigged elections and all of that, we basically made a video about what happens next. Because here's the reality. If Trump manages to pull this off and wins this election, it'll be an amazing thing, something to behold, okay? But it's only going to delay the inevitable another 4 years, okay? It's not going to solve anything, okay? So the inevitable is coming, okay? The globalists have to show us their hands, okay? And they are busy showing us their hands, okay? Like, for example, what happened in Denmark and stuff, because they're just so out of touch that they exposing themselves through these sort of things, and the general populace is not having any of it. And what we need to do is we need to focus on those things, those most important things. And people will, I think that, we've lost quite a lot of subscribers over the last couple of weeks. I think because maybe people think that we're a little bit conspiratorial. Maybe people wanted to learn about ANC bad, EFF racist, and guys, that's not going to solve anything. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I'm not going to do those videos anymore.
Well, look, there's enough of us doing those videos. You can go watch their videos.
Yeah, go watch their videos.
Go watch their videos.
Pour them a 50 rand in the super chat.
And buy your tech clothing. And
go and listen to some DA globalist counselor talk about communism and stuff.
Yeah,
you're a communist yourself. Anyway, but yeah, that's just ridiculous. So what does Daniel say? He says Bill Gates probably has no idea what food costs. Yeah.
He doesn't care.
No, he doesn't. He's got no idea. It's about having and perusing, probably pursuing a rightist understanding of history. Yeah, absolutely. I think that's the...
the thing is, there's a lot
I'm making myself another drink. Do you want another drink, Russell?
No, I'm fine. Another reason why a lot of this, people say, Trump would be more popular if he just didn't say what wasn't as harsh and outspoken like it. That's exactly what makes him popular. Trump has got an incredible sense of things. He's read the play, and it's because he's actually it's because of exactly what he does, why he is as popular as he is. Who would have thought that what the media say is rude and obnoxious and abrupt and unpresidential and where
people would love?
People would love. Why? Because they relate to it. It's authentic.
Yeah.
It's actually authentic. It resonates with them.
You're not supposed to be a likable person when you're running a country.
I don't want a nice guy running the country.
I don't want a guy that I want to pry with that's going to run the country. I'm sorry, I don't.
I want the absolute hardest, knuckle hard, almost like ice cold guy that hardly ever smiles, just to say, we'll sort it out. We'll sort it out. Don't worry, and he just does it. That's
hard
what you
man.
want.
That's what you need. You need a hard man running a country. You can't, because it's a freaking hard job.
Yeah, like Lee Kuan Yew.
Yes, what an ace.
Lee Kuan Yew is the greatest man one of the greatest men of the 20th century.
One of the most underrated men.
Probably the most overrated person of the 20th century is Winston Churchill, and the most underrated is Lee Kuan Yew. Yeah,
so I want to just read Boogaloo Boorsian's comment over here. He says, hey, we were actually hoping you were going to sign on there, Boogaloo Boorsian. Welcome. He says, I think people want to see the face value issues and feel like they're winning, even if we're not. Yeah, absolutely. This is the whole point.
The fact that people are talking about it means we're winning.
Exactly. So just, guys, we're winning. This is the point, is we are winning. We actually, we cannot lose. Because
did you listen to that clip of Trump's where he said, don't let people tell you it's impossible. Don't feel like the minority.
But that's how you're supposed to, as a leader, that's what you're supposed to tell people. So Daniel says over here, he says, Trump is hated because he stands against the systemic cultural Marxism. Yes, absolutely. You know what? I saw somewhere, I think it was on Facebook or something, but some guy, some communist and stuff was saying that cultural Marxism doesn't exist. And I'm like, yes, just shut up, bro. You don't know what you're talking about. But anyway, so yeah, Daniel, that's 100% correct. and we were talking about this as well, part of the reason why Trump is so liked also is because, so liked by the average person, not he's hated by the media,
by the
obviously,
elites, by all these fancy
globalists and all of that.
schmancy elites and yuppies and
Yeah, but the reason why
classes.
The reason why he's liked amongst the majority of normal people and stuff is because he is outside of politics. He's not a bureaucrat
or a technocrat
or a man of words. You understand? He is a man of action. Action. But the reality is that people look at me funny when I say this, but I think that people seriously underestimate how much Trump has actually impacted the political zeitgeist all around the entire world. And the globalists absolutely hate that. Now, Daniel, how I know that the globalists hate Trump?
He's got universal appeal.
Well, he's got universal appeal, yes, but he has what he did at Davos.
Oh yes, yeah, that's
the World Economic.
That's when it was decided he couldn't be president again.
That's when basically it was decided that Trump is out. He has to go. He has to go because he stood up against the World Economic Forum, okay, and said to them, guys, sorry, we're not having any of this. We're going to be America first, and that's it. Like, there's no questions. And that's what a leader is supposed to do. He's supposed to put the will of his people first. You just don't see that anymore.
No, you notice that.
And that's why Trump is, amongst the average person, the person that has actually taken a moment just to sort of understand the world around them.
But look at how popular Trump is in places you never thought he'd be popular. Look up when he went to India.
He's like a rock star in India, bro.
Nigeria, they love him.
He's like a god there.
It's like so funny. These Democrats and these leftists think if they import a whole lot of Indians from India and Nigerians from Africa, that sort of thing, they're going to be Democrat voters. There's not a chance. They're probably going to. They're probably going to end up conservative.
I think initially
they're going to end up conservative voters. That's so. It's this is what these oaks think.
Yeah, and he definitely, yes, Daniel. He definitely 100% showed leadership in the COVID story. Absolute, pure leadership. You know why? People always say, oh, Trump didn't do anything. No. He did his country's thing. He didn't do what everyone else in the world was doing.
Yeah.
So he did his country's thing. And that is how a leader is supposed to behave.
I read on one of these guys, one of these experts said that Trump lost the election, listen to this, because of his mishandling of the COVID matter. That cost him votes.
Well, that is the general consensus. You listen to this retarded radio stations in South Africa. So, it's like, again, those oaks and stuff. Mr. Patriarch. We would have had you on, Dylan, but it was kind of like an impromptu
action.
An impromptu one. Yes, action, D-Dog. You got it. So, you listen to the radio stations today, and it's just like, Trump this, and everyone's like, President Biden, and like, he's not the president yet,
there's all the radio stations here say President-elect
Biden.
He's only president-elect when the electors elect him.
Yeah, exactly. When the college, whatever, the electoral college says you're the president, that means that he's president. He's not president-elect yet. And he's already going out there changing policies and all of that. Like, but he's making these ridiculous policies that would even like piss Democrats off, And I'm like, well, obviously he's doing that because in 6 months' time he's not going to be around. He's just going to be like, oh, look at this president. He's not compos mentis. He can't rule a country. Look at him. He's crazy and stuff. Let's bring in the Cleopatra of our time, the brown goddess, the black queen, and we're going to make her queen of the free world. You understand? And it's going to be the symbolic statement. It's going to be the old white man kneeling down in front of this black woman and handing her the keys to the free world. And it's going to be pandered like that, like you will not believe. Okay? And then there's going to be, prepare, Russell, prepare for you sitting here in South Africa and every white person all around the world, prepare to get a boost of white privilege, my friend. Right now, you are going to have more white privilege than you ever thought you could have in your entire life. And then you've got to take out your flagellating whips, and you've got to now 4 years, and white America is going to have to beat themselves on the back.
Yeah, but look, listen, you must remember as well, with what's happened with the election, okay, with what's happened with, and Kamala Harris gets in, that's going to play on people's mind. So don't expect that to be an automatic acceptance.
I know the Dems will accept it.
No, but that's not the whole of America.
No, of course. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this is what the Dems are going to promote.
They're going to promote it, whether or not it'll work. Because already the Trump supporters are going to say, well, hang on, well, why should we support this? There's going to be civil disobedience. The Trump, the controversies of the election is going to embolden them.
Well, let's hope
it's going to embolden it. Well, Trump's not going anywhere. He's going to hold a movement if he doesn't come in.
Oh, yeah. He'll pursue a movement.
Correct.
At 75 years of age.
Yeah.
What an ace. What a boss.
Yeah.
What a boss. He's 75. I'm 38, bro. I don't even have half the energy that Trump has. I don't even have an ounce of the energy that Trump has, bro. And he's 75.
And I mean, the thing is,
Beast,
I find it so bizarre that Biden did absolutely no campaigning.
No campaigning, bugger all. And
he just had a couple of press conferences.
Yeah, and social distancing
rallies. And that's Trump went. It's just so weird. I mean, and this is in key swing states.
Yeah.
All the key, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Georgia, Florida. Trump was huge. I mean, massive crowds. I mean, Biden can't even get.
Dylan says, guys, you have to check out the press conference Giuliani
I saw
and
some
Sidney
of it
Powell
earlier.
had. They brought receipts, I guess. The Dominion voting stuff left me flabbergasted. House of Cards level shit.
Yeah,
the Dominion voting stuff. Okay, so here's the thing with Dominion, okay? So the Dominion company is owned by another company, okay? So that company that owns it, I think it's a Spanish company that owns Dominion.
Which is now bankrupt or something.
Which is now bankrupt because of a lawsuit or something.
Yeah, something weird.
And anyway, so Dominion is also the same software that was used, or the same program, or the same company that was used to hijack the Chavez election in Venezuela to make him the president. And and that's the same Venezuela. The US, the free world, is using software and machines that were used by Venezuela.
Yeah, I did watch a bit of that press conference, Mr. Patriarch. I did actually, but it looked very interesting. That Sidney Powell, that woman, she, if she's bluffing, she pulled off a pretty good bluff in all of her other interviews, because you looked at the way she answered the questions about, don't worry, we've got everything, we can prove it. And then she's apparently she's a senior appellate division.
Yeah, that Sidney Powell chick is stoic as hell.
If that's a bluff, she's like, I want her in a poker team.
Bro, she shows zero emotions. You know who she reminds me of?
Usually you could tell if somebody's not as confident in their abilities.
You know who she reminds me of? Do you remember a TV show called Major Dad?
Oh yes, Gunny.
There was that woman that
Gunnery Sergeant.
Gunnery Sergeant. No emotions. Like, that's what she reminds me of. Like, totally like that. But Trump definitely high energy. Boogaloo Boosian says, I wonder how a Kamala Harris presidency will cause even more reaction.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what it will.
And that's on the back of a suspect election. You can't tell me the Trump supporters, like Nigel Farage said. He said Trump and his supporters aren't going anywhere.
No. But you see, and that's also Farage. What an ace!
I got
a lot of time for Farage, and you know the thing is with, and those are the two things. So Trump and Brexit, and I think so Trump has won 2A Brexit, 2B Nigel Farage. like Nigel Farage on his own is enough of an influence on the zeitgeist, because he is an absolute, and he's still campaigning. I think he's going back into politics now.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's all sorts of things. Brexit is once again in peril. Boris Johnson and his nonsense.
That Boris Johnson's a regular neoconner.
Bro, the worst. I think probably the worst. The Conservative Party must change its name. A Conservative Party that conserves nothing.
Well, that's conservatism without Christianity.
That's more like cuckservatism.
It's cuckservatism. Hey, Dylan. Dylan, like guys, go onto our Facebook page and you'll read something that Dylan wrote almost 2 years now about conservatism.
It's like, what's his name? Ben Shapiro type conservatism.
Yeah.
Cuckservatives.
Jewish conservatism.
Cuckservative.
Whatever.
Cuckservative.
Daniel, Mr. Patriarch says she was confident for a reason. Biden is boned. Yeah, no, he's definitely.
Well, look, like
even if Biden gets the presidency, let's face it. Here's the thing. In my opinion, better case scenario if Biden wins, because then it speeds up this stuff. It speeds it up, and we pull the Band-Aid off, and the globalists expose themselves. Then it's game on. Then let's play, and let's bring it. So yeah, I'm confident Trump can still put it off, but if it does happen, guys, we haven't lost.
No, it's not. It's not over by a long way.
It's not over. So Daniel says, have you seen the comments how they want to densificate? I don't know what that is.
Densificate. Have you seen the comments how
they want to denazificate the Trump
if
vote?
They lose?
I don't know what that question is, Daniel. Maybe just retype it. They should change it to the Great Reset.
Yeah,
Party.
that's obviously the Conservative Party.
Yeah. And that's also another thing is that's what these globalists are hitting for, and it's not even hidden. I mean, Klaus Schwab gets up there and says, "We must do a Great Reset," and I'm like, it's right there, guys, and people still like call you a conspiracy theorist. It's just
look. I mean, people. Just 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, I used to tell people about these things and how I saw things playing themselves. But people said, man. But now, they know.
So what's this? Have you seen? Denazificate.
Denazificate.
The Trump voters if they lose. Hang on, Conservative Party. Hang on. Have you seen the comments? And they want to denazificate the Trump voters if they lose.
In other words, denazificate, is that to put them in concentration camps or what? Like, or denazification is the process where they killed off all the
Polish
Nazis.
guys and stuff.
No, the Nazis after the war, all those executions. That's denazification.
Yeah, like the Germans that were executed in Poland and all of that.
Yeah, no, well, look, no, just after the war, they had to kill.
No, that's what I'm saying. The Germans that were murdered and executed in Poland.
Yeah, and Germany.
Yes, yes, I have seen that. I have seen that they want to. Who was it? I think it was Charlie Sheen or some other arsehole that said that they should bury Trump with a swastika or a Nazi flag, and stuff. I mean, how these people. It came to them very late.
But long arrears to make good when the Saxon began to hate.
Just saying, guys. Just saying. Yes, Frankfurt School and America re-educated the whole country. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure. Re-education.
I can understand them trying to do something like that.
But look,
because let's face it, guys. I mean, why do you think denazification happened? Is it possibly because maybe the same globalists that did the denazification are doing Maybe the same thing
Today.
in the US.
Yeah.
Maybe, is that possibly it? I don't know. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I saw that, Graham. AOC wanted to keep a list of Trump voters.
Not only Trump voters, but what you call Trump collaborators. So everybody that had helped Trump during his presidency and all that sort of thing.
It's sick.
And like put them in prison for traitors.
So now you guys are starting to understand who the actual evil people are.
Correct.
Whole thing,
who's the evil one?
Who's the evil one?
That is Trump. That's
and
evil.
Nuremberg trials was the first time in the history of this earth that war criminals were tried.
There's this one guy that I follow. He posts things. He's not a Trump supporter or anything like that. He's just quite moderate. And there's this other guy that keeps commenting on his stuff. Well, these other two guys that are so-called heavy Christians, but leftist Christians.
Oh, gross.
All right. So they are so devoutly anti-Trump. And they come up with the most ludicrous things. I've tried to have discussions with them, and they talk the biggest load of nonsense. So every time, the last 2 weeks, I've said nothing on the page. So every time that they say something, it says ha 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 ha. Ha ha ha!
Like laugh
emojis.
Ha ha ha!
Yeah, this is ha ha ha.
So, Mr. Patriarch says denazification has already happened, bro. That's why the Anglosphere is so cucked. I talked to Gottfried a bit about this in my interview.
Oh yes,
yeah,
quite true. I remember that. Yeah,
very true.
The cuckery.
Very true. Boogaloo, did you watch his interview? It was great, eh?
Yeah.
And like some other YouTubers go and put stuff like go and make videos like facing up to fascism, the US elections, calling Joe Biden a fascist.
And calling the EFF fascists and that sort of thing. It's like
what?
The EFF are Antifa.
Yeah, the EFF are literally Antifa. They're literally anti-fascist.
Yeah.
And you get YouTube channels with 20,000 subscribers and 80,000 subscribers who are calling Joe Biden a fascist.
Well, there's no. I mean, the thing is, Mr. Patriarch was the one that red pilled me on fascism, but he wasn't red. Mr. Patriarch warned me, don't gobble down all the red pills at once.
Yeah. Because it's a tunnel. Yeah, it's a big rabbit hole. Boogaloo Brucian says everyone is fascist.
Yeah, if you act in your own interests.
If you act in your own interests, that's fascism. Yeah, exactly. So everyone is fascist. Yeah, and essentially, if you're anti-Marxist, especially, then you're a fascist.
Yeah.
So Biden is definitely not a fascist.
That's how Antifa see you. If you are not one of them.
Well, why do you think Antifa is so anti-Trump?
Yeah.
Their name is actually accurate. Like, people are like, yeah, but they're not really anti-fascist because Trump's not really a fascist. And I'm like, no, Trump is actually a fascist because he's anti-Marxist.
Correct. Yeah.
He's anti-abortion. He's all. So he's
in their minds.
Yeah. Well,
so in other words, they see everything. They're Marxists, okay, and everybody else is a fascist. Okay.
Yeah.
So their thing is we're against anybody who's not a Marxist.
Yeah.
So we are Antifa.
Yeah. So Mr. Patriarch says Malema is legitimately more scary than Mussolini. Yeah. If you're a well, I guess it depends. I guess
people give. I still haven't figured out exactly what guys like.
Why they're so petrified of Mussolini? You know what the horrible thing is? I remember reading. It was quite a long article from a while ago about how the Marxists in Italy captured Mussolini and executed him. I mean, it was absolutely brutal.
Was it the Marxists, or was it actually the history books actually say it was the Italian resistance?
Well, I mean, they were called
not?
something else. They were called something. Oh man, Dylan probably knows what they were called. Dylan, just writes in the comments of what they were called. And basically, what they did is they loaded these oaks up on. They took him to a river. They took Mussolini and all his advisors and all his oaks to a river. They executed him. Boom. They executed everyone. They put their bodies into a truck. And they took them into the city center in Milan. And they dumped the bodies on the street. And people literally shot them and pissed on them and shat on them, and like it was just barbaric, absolutely barbaric. And they partisans, that's it, the Marxist partisans, that's it.
yes.
But they were definitely Marxists. I mean, there's no doubt about it. But they put them in the back of the truck and they wheeled them into Milan, and they just like it was. There's photos of it. It's brutal. They took Mussolini and his was it Mussolini or am I? Oh yes, and then they hung him up.
Yeah.
They pulled him up. They hung him upside down, and they like cut him open,
His
and
guts
were out, and like beat up the body of his mistress.
No. All sorts of nonsense.
It was just violent.
Apparently, it was the South African expeditionary force that were actually in Italy that witnessed a lot of this.
Yes. Mr. Thompson, remember Mr. Thompson that I told you
about?
The
South African infantry expeditionary force in Italy, Monte Cassino,
that sort of thing.
Yeah, they were in Italy at the time.
Yeah, absolutely. And they I mean, Mr. Thompson, that friend of mine, well, it was like an old. This is classic. Like my dad used to do a lot of work at the old age home in the town that I grew up in, and he introduced me to Mr. Thompson, who was an older guy. Probably at that time, he's probably in his
70s, 80s.
No, probably early 80s.
Early 80s, yeah.
I must have been about 13, so it was probably about 25 years ago or something. And he was a World War II veteran, and he had this cool trunk. And he would pull out this trunk and he would show me like newspaper clippings, actual newspaper clippings, and photographs that he took with his own camera. And he was in East Africa with Montgomery. Was it East Africa? No. West Africa.
North Africa.
North Africa with Montgomery.
Army, yeah.
And was it Montgomery?
Yeah, it was Montgomery.
Against Rommel, and then he was in Monte Cassino as well. And he had an actual photograph that he took in the town square in Milan of Mussolini hanging, and it was quite something to behold. But yeah, it was just so brutal, so violent. This Marxist possession had taken over those people, and these were just sort of townspeople, town folk, and that they got so aggressive and violent. It's just possession. So what's going on in the comment section over here? Mussolini's face looked like bread dough when they were done with him. Yeah, it was horrible. Daniel van Straten said that's why Hitler wanted his body burnt.
Yeah, so that no one can get hold of him. Yeah, he didn't want a spectacle.
Yeah, exactly. He didn't want to make a spectacle of him. Graham says Walter Odisio believed to have shot him.
He was a member of the Italian Communist Party.
Yeah. So they basically lined them up. It was at a river. I don't remember, or a dam or something.
Yeah.
And they basically shot them, and they took them in. I seem to remember it was like a yellow truck. I don't know, it was a specific party truck or something. And they loaded them in the back of the truck and took them into town to make a spectacle of them. You see, they had to make a spectacle of these.
So I mean, the thing is, then well done to the Nazis in Germany who committed suicide. No.
Yeah.
To avoid that.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is, throughout the Nuremberg trials, not one single Nazi general, soldier, or whatever recanted or denied or what's the word, repented or whatever for what they'd done. They all went to the gallows, or they all disappeared or whatever. But got a split. Mrs. wants to eat and watch a movie. Later, fellows, watch that press conference. We can gab about it at the Braai this weekend. Yes,
that's it.
We shall, Dylan. We shall. See you there, bro.
That's it.
But guys, in conclusion, this is the whole point. What we face today is a imminent threat of global tyranny that seeks to control every aspect of your life, seeks to control your thought, seeks to control your reproduction, seeks to control your family, seeks to control your soul, every part of you they seek to control. The reason why they want to control those parts is because they know and they understand that your family, your soul, your spirituality, your connection with God is something that they do not have. And it's something that they fear. So how do we win? We strengthen that connection with God. We strengthen our connection with family.
And
we
each other.
build communities with each other. That's how we do this. I'm not calling for people to go out on the street and start shooting guns and all of that.
Don't try to think you could be some kind of larper.
Don't think that you're like some libertarian boogaloo type that's going to like, oh, I'm going to get my tank and my nukes. And I mean, don't be stupid now, man.
And another thing, interestingly enough, the thing is fought this way as well. When things come against you, you stand on the truth.
Yes, absolutely.
So in other words, if basically you have to make a stand. So in other words, if you're, and this is where it gets a bit more difficult. So if say now, if compulsory sex education comes into the schools, you got to kick it out.
Yes.
You got to actually be very militant about it.
Yeah.
Okay. What other sort of situations? If you are working for, like for instance, I don't know, maybe, some type of corporate that does something completely weird, and bizarre, you need to find ways of trying to leave that company. You get what I'm saying? This is how you do it.
Your action, the things that. So here's the thing, okay? The globalists are like vampires, okay? A vampire can only enter your house if they're invited, okay? This is a great analogy told to me by Matthew. They can only enter your house or your home if they're invited. So don't invite them in. Keep all those elements of globalism out of your family. Do not allow them within your family. Do not allow them within your community. Do not allow them within your friend circle. Keep those things out and talk about them.
Talk about it. Push your agenda.
Push your agenda, because I promise you,
of course
those
you've got an
folks
agenda. And when people say, "Oh, you've got an agenda," you say, "Yes, 100%. I do have an agenda."
Of course, because there's another agenda against you.
Correct.
So, I mean, you're not gonna beat the agenda unless you're pushing against it.
So don't be scared of having an agenda.
Don't be scared of having an agenda. Don't be scared of speaking your truth. Okay, and also, guys, that although it's cool and fun to get involved in it and talk about it, like the EFF and the ANC and all that, it's totally pointless, really. How you beat the ANC, how you beat the EFF is by strengthening your communities, strengthening your families. That's how you do this. We've been saying this from the beginning when we started this channel. Okay, and guys, share our content. Tell people about it.
Of this video, please.
Like this video and stuff. We don't get much in the line of viewership and stuff, but probably it could be a combination of maybe we just cuck.
Yeah, and go watch my interview with Conscious Caracal about Rhodesia.
Yeah, that was a good one. That was a good one. Daniel, did you watch that stream? It was quite a good one. But yeah, language is that is so. Here's the thing. Myself and Russell spoke about doing a series on Rhodesia. So we're going to do a series on Rhodesia. So things that led to Rhodesia's demise. So what we'll do is we'll talk about Rhodesia in portions. So politics, economics, culture, all of those. So we'll release various sort of episodes talking about that. But yeah, we'll talk about we're doing that sort of thing. But something that I thought of, Russell, is I thought of doing a series on hijacked words.
Yeah.
So things like social justice is a hijacked word. Bigot is a hijacked word.
Not just hijacked, but hijacked and meaning changed.
Yeah, completely changed. So, and I was just thinking about doing that because language is absolutely key. Daniel. That is literally, the globalists understand how to control language. The right, not so much.
Too honest.
Too honest. But yeah, we'll get there. So Daniel says not yet. So, but go and watch his interview about Rhodesia on Conscious Caracal. It was brilliant. Anyway, guys, remember anything else that you want to?
No, I'm done.
We're good. Remember, guys, just go out there, speak your truth, and get the word out there. Like, share this video if you enjoyed it. But thank you so much for all of you guys for listening. Remember to stay reactionary out there, because
God wills it.
God wills it.